I came back to finish the rest of the story. Now, I had to come up with something good enough to be able to get me out of this adoption that I was in, because this adoption was not working for me at all. I wasn't allowed to do anything. It was just crazy. And I had been living there for a couple of years now. And I think I was adopted when I was 12. And I want to say I'm 14 now. Well, I didn't know what to do. I honestly had no clue what to do, what I could say, what I could do, because it seemed like everything that I was possibly trying to do to get these people to, you know, like give me away or something just wasn't working. I mean, I just had really bad behaviors. I would lie about anything, you know, just any and everything to piss these people off. Well, I don't know exactly how this came about, but I remember one day that the pastor of our church, he was a younger pastor. He was a new pastor at the church, and he called me into his office one day after the Sunday service, and he was like, "Joel, I really wanted to just sit down and talk with you and get to know you a little bit better, and your parents want me to do some counseling with you." Now, understand that I'm going to a therapist about every other week since I've been adopted by them, but that's not really going anywhere. Me and therapy I just really didn't get into a whole lot and deal with a lot of issues that I probably should have been dealing with. Now, like I said, I have no clue where this came from, but we're sitting there talking, and he's asking me different questions, this, that, and the other, and he says, "Joel, have you had sex?" And I just looked at him, and I said, "Willingly or unwillingly?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I just want to know if you've had sex willingly." And I was like, "No." And I was telling the truth. And he was like, "Well, I just want to let you know that you need to come clean with me so that we can work things out with your family, because they really don't want to send you away, but they're going to send you away if you can't change your behaviors, and if you can't be honest with me and talk to me about your sexual activity with these different boys." So I'm sitting here in my head, and I'm thinking, ching, what did you say? They want to send me away? What? Well, all of a sudden, I have not had sex up to this point. I don't know, the sexual abuse has happened, but I have not willingly had sex with anyone. So, all of a sudden, I need to come clean. And I'm like, well, I did have sex with this one boy, and then there was this other time at school, and I don't know how many people I told him I had sex with, but needless to say, the next day, it was a Monday. I did not go to school that Monday. I ended up going to the gynecologist. I don't know exactly what the gynecologist told my parents, but they fully believed that I was sexually active. So, it was spring break. We went on a spring break. We went to St. Augustine, to this boring campground. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere by myself. I wasn't allowed to do anything by myself. If they didn't feel like going to the pool, I couldn't go to the pool. When you're a kid, all you want to do is go hang out on the beach all day for spring break, or go to the pool and hang out all day. No, I'm cooped up in this RV with these old people. Anyways, we get back, and that Monday I get up and I'm starting to get ready for school, and the lady that adopted me is like, "Joel, will you come in here and help me with this?" And I walk in there, and there's like all these clothes laid all over the extra bed, and there's luggage everywhere, and I was like, "What's going on?" And she was like, "Well, we didn't want to tell you, but today we're taking you to Tallahassee, and we're taking you to a Christian girls' home, and we're going to pay for you to stay there, and we want you to get better, and we want you to come to love Christ, and blah 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 blah." So I am just like so happy, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, it's really going to happen. It's really going to happen. I don't have to be here anymore." Well, as we start packing the stuff, I'm like, whoa, because she's telling me different rules about this place, and you can't show your elbows, you can't show this bone right here, like your shirts have to come to here, you can only show your neck. You can't wear hoop earrings. You can only wear studs, and you can only wear one. You have to wear culottes. You can't wear jeans or shorts, and it has to come past your knee, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Okay, so I'm just like, I don't even care at this point. I'm so happy just to be getting away from them. So I ended up going to Tallahassee to this all-girls Christian home in Tallahassee that is basically like a reform school, a Christian reform school for like bad kids. So I go to this home, and like the first couple of weeks I'm there, all these girls are like really messed up. Okay, I mean, they're really messed up. I was using pot. I did smoke pot pretty regularly. I picked that up at the Baptist Children's Home, and I just could always seem to find pot, so I did smoke pot pretty regularly. But these girls were doing cocaine and were having sex like crazy, and just, you know, I was like a saint compared to these girls that were at this home. Well, I ended up staying there for a little while, and I don't exactly remember what happened, but I tripped out one night. I started taking pictures, and just, they were hanging on the wall, and I just walked by and hit it. I'm talking, these are really big, huge pictures, and was busting glass and throwing books everywhere, and I wish I could remember what set me off at this point, but right now I just really can't think of what it was. But I remember telling them, I'm not going to stay here any longer, and they were just like, well, if you leave, we're calling the sheriff. So I was like, cha-ching. You know, I don't understand how these people in my life, they tell me exactly what to do to get what I want. So I go and I sit at the end of the road in the highway. I remember there was a highway, and then there was our little dirt road that led back to this little facility. So I'm sitting in the middle of the highway, and this sheriff pulls up, and he's like, honey, what are you doing sitting in the road? And I was like, I'm not staying there. I'm not staying there, and I'm not going back to my parents' house. I don't care what you have to do to me. I was like, do I have to hit you in order to go to jail? And he was like, no, honey, you don't have to hit me to go to jail. He's like, what's going on? You know, he's like, come on, let's go up here. Well, apparently this sheriff had heard of this place, but he'd never been there. And whenever we get there, you know, we walk through the front doors, and, you know, he's like, what the hell kind of place is this? You know, and everybody's dressed all, you know, covered up, and, you know, and it was just, it was blowing this officer's mind. So he's like, honey, go get your stuff, pack your stuff, go get your stuff. We'll put it in my cruiser, and I'll take you to a teen crisis center. So I'm like, yes, thank you, God, you've come through again for me. So I ended up packing up all my stuff. I didn't realize how much stuff I had. I filled up his whole trunk and the whole back seat. And he takes me to this place in Tallahassee called the Teen Crisis Center, Teen Crisis Unit, one or the other, I don't remember, so long ago. So I get there in the middle of the night, because all this happened in the middle of the night. So there's nobody awake or anything whenever I get there, and whenever I get there, there's a lot of paperwork and stuff that needs to be done, and they ask you a lot of questions. I finally got to go to bed, and the next morning, whenever I woke up, I got to meet all the different people that I was there with. It was one big long hallway, basically. The girls were on this side, the boys were on that side. There was a little dining hall and stuff in the middle, and the office, and like a day room. And those of us that weren't in school, we went to a class there because we weren't able to be enrolled in school. So we had a little class there that we went to every day, and a couple of different things happened while I was there. I ended up being sexually abused again. And this time it really, I mean, being sexually abused is devastating. But this time it was by one of the guys that I really liked. This was the first boy I ever really had a crush on. And it really hurt me that I liked somebody, you know, that could hurt me like that. So I'm going to get into that on my next video, but keep watching, please. I'm not saying my life is the most interesting, greatest thing in the world, but maybe you've gone through some things that I've gone through. So keep listening. Thanks.